Reiner, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
All right. Boy, the way Glenn Miller played.
Songs that made the hit parade.
Guys like me, we had it made. Those were the days.
Ed Robertson wishing you and yours a very happy new year as we embark on the inaugural edition of TV Confidential for calendar year 2026. TV Confidential, a radio talk show about television that will welcome Doug Thompson in our second hour. Doug's career in radio and television include 3 radio series with John Candy, all of which aired, by the way, at the height of Candy's popularity as a film actor, a 26-part radio series starring Ringo Starr, and several projects with Jim Henson. Our complete interview with Doug Thompson will air the weekend of January 9th and will become available as a podcast Monday, January 12th. In the meantime, by now, all of you are aware of the tragic death of Rob Reiner on Sunday, December 14th. We are in the process of putting together a tribute program on Rob Reiner for broadcast in a few weeks here on TV Confidential. We'll keep you posted on that. In the meantime, as January 12th, 2026 marks the 55th anniversary of the premiere of All in the Family, where we thought we'd share this encore presentation of a conversation that Tony Figueroa and Donna Allen and I had in January 2011 about the legacy of All in the Family. Tony's segment is always brought to us by our friends at Story Salon, Southern California's longest-running, regularly performing live storytelling ensemble. StorySalon.com, Facebook.com/Story Salon.
Now, this is, I think, one of the crowning jewels of this week in TV history for January. January 12th, 1971. And that was the debut of All in the Family.
Boy, the way Glenn Miller played.
Songs that played the hit parade.
That's a show that couldn't be produced today.
It could not.
For so many reasons.
Well, because you can't actually you can portray a toilet on television right now, but
that's the easy part.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the controversy was the sound effect.
Well, the sound of course, we talked about this before a few months ago when I believe.
And the Brady Bunch never had a toilet, and the kids shared a bathroom.
Yes, but Mom and Dad shared the same bed.
Ooh.
Yes, right.
No, they were only second to Herman and Lillian Munster.
Yeah. Rob and Laura Petrie still had to push the beds together, and so did Lucy and Ricky, and they were married in real life.
When Carol O'Connor died in 2001. One of the old interview clips I remember was how he was very adamant because he knew that he was playing a bigot, and there's no going around it. And he said, as long as it's I have no problem playing this character as long as it's clear that he's the butt of the jokes. At the end of the day, he is the butt of the jokes, and he was.
He was. He also, he did 2 pilots, both with Gene Stapleton. There were different kids. First one was called Justice for All, because originally the character was Archie Justice. Mm-hmm. And then Those Were the Days. All 3 versions had the same theme song. In fact, the original purpose of having the 2 lead characters sing the song is that they ran out of money. They didn't have money to have musicians and professional. And they should. Why don't we just sing it?
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Why don't we just do it? And if you check out the Mental Sorbet, I have the 2 lost pilots. There's one in 1968 and one in 1969. So I think the first one was Justice for All. The second one was Those Were the Days. And then, developed to what we now know as All in the Family.
Now, I read somewhere that Mickey Rooney was the original, or at least he one of the original choices for Archie.
Yeah. And Carol O'Connor was considered for the skipper, which would have been very different.
That would have been different, a little edgier. But
I had also heard that Carol O'Connor, he was living in Italy, and when he was cast, he was brought out to New York to do the first pilot, and a strong stipulation was that they pay for his return trip to Italy because he totally did not believe. He thought this show was just too smart for American television. He had no confidence that this would ever be picked up, and he wanted to make sure that his flight back to Italy was already paid for.
But in going back to what we were talking about before, he had good reason because he would have known that this was based on Till Death Do Us Part, the British series.
Yeah, again, we go back to that. It was, and if you see, I know it's out on DVD, and I've watched several of those episodes. The character, the Alpart Garnett character, and that was so mean and so vicious, and had absolutely zero redeeming qualities. Archie Bunker would find redemption now and then. Once in a while, he would see that he was wrong.
And through the evolution of the two shows, I mean, add Archie Bunker's place to that, the character did evolve.
Yeah,
Right, but I was going to say the redeeming qualities of Archie were not as evident in the first couple of seasons.
No.
It took a couple of seasons, and again, pay testament to CBS for staying with the show and giving it the chance to grow.
Yeah, and you this was a show that I would say you had to give it the chance to grow, but very soon into it, you knew every character, so you were laughing before the joke. Mm-hmm. Whatever scenario could play out, when you knew that Archie walked into the door, you knew it was going to hit the fan, and you were already laughing in anticipation to seeing how Archie would react. So Carroll O'Connor, a brilliant theatrical actor that he was, he was also a master, I think, at the Gleason-esque school of reacting, mm-hmm. and to the point where it's kind of like the same thing that I think Jack Benny would have the reaction to. You're already laughing before he says, "I'm thinking it over," and I think Carroll O'Connor also had that type of presence. You knew what was going to happen, you knew how it was going to play out, but also because you knew that character so well. And you also knew Mike's character so well. They never threw you any curves. And I think when they tried to remake it, a generation later when it was 704 Hauser Street,
right.
The characters were never as well defined. And oftentimes they would come with a perspective that kind of threw you off. Oh, yeah. I thought he would have thought this thing or that thing. And Archie and Meathead and Edith and Gloria, you knew exactly where they were on every position. And it was really the first time that you had a family on TV that was talking about the things that families at home were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Or should be talking about.
The Vietnam War, the economy, unemployment,
race relations, sexual
relations,
generation gap.
Exactly.
No, I think Archie Bunker is one of the most honest characters that's ever appeared on television. All in the Family as a whole was one of the most honest shows on television.
Yeah, my friend Wally Podrzik, who was one of the first cultural historians, one of the first television historians, in his book Watching TV, and then later the sequel of that book, Harry and Wally's Favorite Television Shows, he wrote of All in the Family. So take away the fact that Archie is a bigot. The one of the central things that grounded him to a lot of viewers is the whole thing about Mike and Gloria, where Gloria was his little Goyle, mm-hmm. and Mike was he was not working at the time, and so Archie, being of the older generation, saying, "How dare you get involved with my girl without having any sort of plan to take care of her?" Because that was the way he was raised. And that was an issue that a lot of older viewers could understand, even if they didn't agree with Archie's politics.
Well, there's a couple of things also about the viewership. I think there were a lot of characters that identified with Archie for good and bad reasons. One, Archie was of the generation that grew up during the Depression and fought in World War II. Mm-hmm. And he was also, if you were a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, you were still king of the hill. And you earned it because you lived through the Depression, you fought the war, and then you were out there to live the American dream, and you paid for it by suffering through two major crises. And then at a certain point in your life, you're told, oh, by the way, the wealth has to be shared, not realizing that everybody else who lives in America went through the same struggles.
Right.
But basically, I think you had that generation, and especially the blue-collar type, that felt like they were written a check and they can't cash it anymore. And I think there were a lot of people that kind of went through the same, that would be of Archie's demographic. And you also had younger people watching the show that would identify with Mike from the same perspective. Downside is, I think there were a lot of people in this country who believed the things that Archie said. And when they saw somebody on TV say the things that they didn't really get that Archie was making fun of them.
Exactly.
He would say these outlandish things and there'd be laughter, and they were oblivious to the fact
That the
this
joke
guy.
was on him.
Yeah, they didn't realize that he was the punchline. And I think we've had quite a few sitcoms that maybe the butt of the joke was too ignorant. I don't want to say dumb or stupid, but just too ignorant to realize that they are the butt of the joke. And I think it's another reason why you couldn't do a show like that, because now somebody would be an advocate for the bigot. Somebody would be an advocate for the person that was too ignorant to realize. Now they would all have their own support system. So, unfortunately, I think that would be another reason why the show could never be on.
Not even on cable?
Well, it could work. It could work on cable. I think it could work on cable. But
if it was done the way that Mad Men is done, and if it was done in a period piece, I'm not sure if we could have, with things that are going on politically now, with like the Tea Party movement and political discourse, I don't know if we could have a typical American family where you would have those arguments at the dinner table night after night after night.
And here's a question: what's the typical American family today?
Yeah, that would be another.
Well, we'll ponder that question during this quick timeout. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. One more item. If you're starting a company, particularly one that is in an emerging market, you know that averting any sort of legal dispute is crucial to your business plan. Our friends at Tectonic Law offer an array of services that can help you avoid and preempt future litigation while also developing and protecting your intellectual property and intangible assets. Tectonic Law serves the needs of a host of emerging industries throughout California and beyond, including industrial designers, beverage makers, artists, farmers, retail stores, health practitioners, wellness experts, cosmetics manufacturers, nonprofit organizations, innovators in sustainable practices, and libraries. Go to tectoniclaw.com to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay Area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
Ed Robertson thanking you for listening to the TV Confidential podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss our next episode.